Dude, are you drunk?
Maybe.
Welcome to the Booz and Broz podcast, where hosts Matt Lytle and Chris Califf discuss everything paranormal, cryptic, horror, true crime, and of course, booze. So grab your favorite beverage and come have a drink with the Booz and Broz.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 15 of the Booz and Broz podcast. Sorry it's been so long. I'm your host, Matt Lytle, in case you forgot. And I do have my co-host with me.
Franklin. Benjamin Franklin.
I thought you were just going to go with Franklin. Like just one word, one name. Could be a last name, could be a first name.
You never just go with the one. You have to when announcing oneself, you have to make it sound good.
Well, you kind of pulled the Bond, James Bond, but Franklin.
Ben Franklin was a beast.
Oh my
God.
Ben Franklin is a beast. Look, dude, it's been so long. I'm already playing with my drink because I really, really want to drink it. I'm very excited about it. Tonight's subject is about Elisa Lam and what the hell happened to her at the Cecil Hotel back in 2013. Califf, before we get into it, it has been a while, my brother. Why don't you tell everyone what the hell we've been up to?
Oh, dear God. Went to LA, died a little bit inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty great. Took some photos. We look pretty sexy in those. Putting in work on the new projects and shit like that, making sure things are rolling and going where they should be and doing what they should be. And outside of that, just being overall good fucking human beings who wash our hands, wear our masks, and make sure that we're not assholes.
What he said. We actually have a couple of videos, investigation videos that I'm working on editing that will be on our Booz and Broz YouTube page. So not only will we have all of our episodes, we will have a sprinkle of investigating that Califf and I did while he was here. Dude, it was a great time. Like the first night, he literally was puking in my room for about an hour at 3 a.m. But I am to blame for that.
Still had enough Califf about me to talk shit the entire time.
So I'm going to get to our drink. So like I said, we're talking about Elisa Lam. We're going to dive into just a little bit of the history because everyone listening to this and watching this has either seen the documentary on Netflix or know the story. So I don't want to bore you guys with a 10 to 15 minute history lesson like we always do. But our drink, Califf.
Also, clearly people, in the comment section have their own fucking opinions. And for all your internet sleuths out there, go fuck yourself.
Wow. Leave your comments if you want to. Don't listen to him. You just won't get a good reaction out of him. Where's your drink at, bro? It's so dark. Why is it so dark?
First off, it's like my soul. Okay. Second off,
True.
It doesn't matter what you do. If you put crack and rum in something, this is what happens to it.
Oh, that's true. That's literally like a black rum. Okay. Cheers. It's actually pretty fucking good.
I'm undecided to still out.
Well, this drink is called Dirty Water. For those of you, wow, that drink was like all vodka right there. For those of you who don't know about Elisa Lam's story, spoiler alert.
Remember that you're taking a shower, right? You're in the shower. You're washing your hair, unless you're me. You're washing your hair and all that type of stuff. Like, okay, this is kind of weird. It's kind of gross. But whatever. You finish washing. You wash your balls. You wash your asshole. You do your thing. And then you walk out of your room and you see cops flying around. You're like, what the fuck? What's going on? What the hell? Plus, the water pressure in this place sucks. Massive balls. And you go down, they're like, oh, by the way, we hope you didn't shower here because we just found a fucking body in the water tank.
And it was in there for what was she found?
Far too long. It was in there.
Yeah, a few days. So this is called Dirty Water. What is in it is black iced tea, vodka, rum, and lime juice. So it's very simple. It's actually refreshing. But the fact that it's called dirty water and we're talking about Elisa Lam's body found in the water tank and how the water was, it's actually kind of gross to drink it right now. I don't want to drink it anyways.
You know what it boils down to, man, is that we put ourselves on the front line here at Booz and Bros, and we do the things. We do the things that aren't quite the best things, but we do the things for you. You, the 5 people listening, the 6 people watching. God damn it, we do it for you.
We do it for you guys, and we came back for you guys. So anyways, you watched the documentary on Netflix. I watched it, but you and I both knew about the story before when it happened. So again, this is another LA location. I mean, I've not been inside the Cecil Hotel.
We drove by it.
I have seen it. We did not drive by it. No, because it's downtown.
Oh, that's stupid.
It's downtown. Right. I know we should have. I don't know why we didn't when you were here. What were we thinking? Anyways.
We were in Haddonfield, dude. We were in Haddonfield.
That's true. That's true. We were too busy in Haddonfield, aka South Pasadena, Haddonfield. But yeah, I mean, like our other podcast that we just did with Richard Ramirez, he stayed at the Cecil Hotel. There was another serial killer, Jack, like Utterweger or something, 1991, stayed there. There was the Black Dahlia. This is like basically the last place that she was seen was the Cecil Hotel. There's been like multiple unsolved murders. There was one that happened in like 1964. There's been a lot of dark ass shit that's happened at the Cecil Hotel.
And then the fact that suicides, people hanging themselves, overdosing, shooting themselves, jumping out windows. It's seen every major type of suicide that most people have heard of, and some that are pretty goddamn creative.
Right. So before we get into Elisa, I mean, when I first moved here, the very first month I moved here, I told somebody I was a ghost hunter, and automatically he said, "Oh my gosh, you have to check out the Cecil Hotel. Have you heard of the Cecil Hotel?" And I was like, it sounds familiar. That's when I first learned about how crazy it is with what we just talked about. And then the Elisa Lam story that I knew about, I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know that, I put 2 and 2 together, that was at the fucking Cecil Hotel. So what do you think, but again, before we get too much into Elisa, like, what do you think kind of like vibes or ghosts or whatever are there, Califf? Are there any? Do you think it's haunted?
Yes and no. I think first off, yes, because I mean, the amount of trauma and, things that have taken place within those walls. I mean, yeah, there has to be some negative energy there. There has to be some shit there that has unfinished business. But also no, because I also believe that people, right, the mind can play a huge part into all this stuff. So for me, it's like, okay, how much of it is just walking in there with the perception that maybe this place has some kind of weird haunt happening, and how much of it is actual activity from all the bad and heinous crap that is taking place?
Yeah. I pretty much agree with that. Like, that's really hard to argue with. You and I usually look at things like that the same, but I mean, I do think that there's a lot of, I think there's more dark, disgusting, like residual energy than there is like a dark, intelligent force that's forcing people to do all this shit. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people think.
Oh, that's the biggest theory, right? The biggest theory is that there's some demon or some master negative energy that's pulling the strings and all that type of stuff. When you compound negative after negative after negative, so you look at things like the suicide bridge, we're out there talking and we're out there doing our homework and we're looking and we're walking around. It took one person to jump off the bridge and for them to coin it the suicide bridge, for that to fall in people's heads, and now people are going to follow. Okay, well, if I die, the one place I think about is that suicide bridge, so that's where I'm going to go jump, right? So Cecil Hotel being the same kind of thing, that all these bad things, historically have taken place. So I guess it just compounds itself on each other. And then, yeah, it has to be a demon or the devil or some other work of some nefarious means, because we're not smart enough to look and realize that bad shit happens everywhere.
Right. And yeah, that's just in a building, you know what I mean? Condensed building. And again, it's famous type deaths. It's famous type scenarios or cases like the one we're talking about that really stirs all that shit up. I personally would love to actually go in there just to feel around. I mean, you know how I am, Califf, sensitivity and bullshit. Like, I would love to just feel what the hell's there.
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that, because I was thinking, like, walking in those front doors, with like a camera on you just to see what you felt just walking through. And then maybe standing in the elevator she was in and kind of getting your vibe and your feel of that. Because I think with you and your ever-growing abilities, it would be an incredible thing to see how that energy weighs on you.
Yeah. Speaking of the elevator, okay, a little bit of history. Again, I'm going to make this 30 seconds. Elisa Lam was from Vancouver. She was 21-year-old college student. She wanted to do the West Coast whole vacation starting in San Diego, which she went to. She wanted to do it by herself. She's never been away by herself. Her parents are pretty strict about that. But, she's 21. She's like, screw it, I'm going to do it. And then their parents were like, all right, fine. So she stopped in San Diego for a few days. Love San Diego, beautiful place. Then she came up to LA at the very, very end of January. I think January 26th is when she checked in. And that's when, her next stop was going to be Santa Cruz, San Francisco, all that. But she didn't make it. So being in LA at the Cecil Hotel, the elevator footage that went viral. Do you remember when it went viral, Califf, in 2013? Like it went viral like right after it all happened. Do you remember that?
It's funny. The first time I heard about the Elisa Lam story was probably a couple years after it happened. And it was literally just watching. So, on YouTube, you have the top 10, top 15 most haunted videos and stuff like that. And the recurring theme with Elisa Lam was this, elevator footage. She was never, she was found and all that type of stuff and how she was found. But these really short synopsis, really short little bits. And I remember just kind of being like, how the hell does that happen? Like, how does any of this work? Her mannerisms and her behaviors and all the things that took place in the elevator. So I was a couple of years late to the party with that one, but I remember even seeing it at that point. It's still like, even though, for the most part, I guess it was solved, it still grabbed my attention.
Yeah. For me, I saw it right away. I was 19 when it happened. So my first instinct was, oh, it's just, some YouTubers trying to get attention, or, it's some hoax, It's something that somebody put on. But then I read more into it and found out she was actually dead and all. And I'm like, holy shit. So being a 19-year-old, 3 years into the paranormal, where do you think my mind went? Automatically, oh, it was something possessing her. Oh, this chick was definitely possessed, something. And then, it took me a few years to mature, but also to realize, oh, there was a lot more at play. There's a lot more theories that actually make more sense. Don't get me wrong. The video footage is creepy, especially when, she sits there and is like hiding from somebody. And then she like presses the buttons in weird ways. And then she like looks out both ways. And then she does this weird things with her hands like this. Like, have you seen that? It's like she like moves her hands in a creepy way. And of course, where do you see people do that? In horror movies that are possessed. So that's why it's like, it's a very like eerie supernatural video, which we'll get into what we think it is later. But that was my first thought was, yeah, she was totally possessed. But that is the creepiest elevator footage I've ever seen in my life to this day.
I don't know. The whole what's his fucking name punches his girlfriend in the face was pretty intense.
I was about to say Ray Rice. Yeah. I was literally about to bring up Ray Rice, the Ravens running back, when he hit his girlfriend and dragged her out the elevator. I literally thought of that when I said that. I was like, wait a minute.
And then he was nice enough to get out of the elevator and grab her shoe. What a guy.
Yeah, what a guy, right? And then he was back in the NFL. But anyways.
Yeah, so was Michael Vick. Anyway, moving forward.
Yep.
It boils down.
There's a lot of players.
Yeah. Elevator footage, for the way she acted, I've seen worse, clearly, because I'm me and have a weird sense of having to dig into shit that I probably shouldn't have.
Yep.
But the way that she was acting, like, to me, the two things that came to my mind when I first saw it, no joke, and mind you, this is still me, I guess, further into my career, was that broad is possessed. Like, that's the first immediate thought, right? Because you talk about the way her body moves and how she's acting and what she's doing. It's like, okay, she's possessed. But then you look at it from another standpoint, which is either hallucinogenics or mental health. And that also plays in that same kind of gray area. So, the more I dug into it, and before watching the documentary that I'm sure everybody and their mom has watched at this point, because it's actually pretty entertaining, and I hate to say that.
It's a great documentary. It really is.
Well, I was thoroughly entertained both times I watched it. But it doesn't change the fact that it's like, what the hell happened? And that's the biggest piece here, right? We know the case you can Google and it's closed. Technically, she's gone. We know that. But nobody knows how.
Right. Yeah. To this day. I mean, and that's what's so crazy, man, is like, there's like, they didn't find any drugs in her at all. I mean, this chick even like was on social media stating she doesn't drink or do drugs besides her medicine that she was taking because she was diagnosed as bipolar. And then, I mean, we'll get into more of that later. I don't want to jump the gun, but just the fact that there's a supernatural, there's, like you said, mental health, there's hallucinogens, there could have been somebody outside the elevator that we couldn't see. There could have been the elevator footage was freaking edited to where you couldn't see exactly what happened. You know, there's freezing and then there's fast forwarding, it looks like, and all this and all that. So there's all of these that are a possibility, which usually stuff like this, it's like, oh, it's either one or two things. Okay, cool. Easy to solve. Where there's like 6 or 7 here. And that's what's so mind blowing to this day, 8 years later. What do you think? So there's the elevator footage. Do you think there's a possibility that there was a second person in play? Do you think she could have been talking to somebody down the hall or hiding from somebody? What do you think?
Yes. I think anything's possible. I think there were more hands at play than what people have given it credit for. You know what I mean? The official COD was suicide, right?
Accidental drowning. Accidental drowning.
Because I know I've been pretty blackout fucking drunk, and hell, the 6 people watching have seen me pretty blackout drunk. Matt, you heard it. At no point,
yes.
At no point have I been like, oh, the water storage on top of a hotel? I need to get naked to go swimming in that. And I've made some pretty fucking poor choices.
Bro, in my mind, what was she thinking? I want to go on the rooftop to see a view. Oh, there's a water tank. I want to go climb and get higher. Oh, what's this latch? And she fell in. Like, what are the odds of that? Very, very, very low. You know what I mean?
The way her body was, where her clothes were positioned, like, to me, in my experience, it looks like a body dump. Plus, you had days before the cops cleared those, and there was no body.
Yeah, they had dogs.
Now, I get that we don't
that
trust
didn't even
law
smell
enforcement
her.
now, and I get we don't trust law enforcement now, and there's all this shit that goes with it. But for me specifically, you know what I mean? I know what it's like to clear a room or clear a scene, and that's the first shit you check. You know what I mean? You open up the latches, you look in there. Oh, well, she could have been underwater. I hate to say this, but when you're dead, you float.
You float. And how do they find her? She was floating.
She was floating.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she could have been weighed down, tied to something. Why did they find weights? Like, you can question everything and drive yourself into a fucking wall with this case. Because, like you said, it has all of the fixings to just mess up your head because you don't know where to go.
Yeah. And that's why I'm going to agree with you. I think there's such a high possibility that there was somebody involved. I mean, again, I live here, man. I know how sketchy shit can get here, especially downtown LA in Skid Row, which is where Cecil Hotel is. I've driven around that area. It is not a good area. That's where Richard Ramirez would stay. That's where so many people, murderers, people who have done terrible crimes, stay right by the hotel or in the hotel if you can afford it, which is
well,
like
you think about it. We were driving home from Haddonfield. We're driving back to your place. As we're driving through Hollywood, what was in the sky?
Oh yeah,
LA,
there's multiple LAPD helicopters, and how many of the streets are blocked off? A lot of them.
There was at least, I want to say at least 10, 11 blocks, square city
and
blocks
dude,
in downtown Hollywood. And that, I mean, if that gives you a vibe of like how Hollywood is, I can only imagine what Skid Row and the area around this hotel, what that's like.
Exactly. So who knows? I mean, and okay, so here's another point. So I definitely agree that there could have been somebody else involved, especially because before that same day, she was at a bookstore down the road. That bookstore is not necessarily in a bad area. That's a couple blocks away. It's kind of, it's always got a lot of people and stuff. And she was just buying a book. She was buying gifts for her family. And she was asking if the book was too heavy for her to travel with and to, take back home to her family in Canada. And what caused her? And then later that day, there was two guys who brought her like the book, or like she like picked up something from the guys and they left, right? That's the last known footage of anybody and her coming in contact. So the Cecil Hotel is so sketchy. Who was there?
To clarify, that was the last footage released of her and somebody in contact. Because this is the big problem. This is the big problem. When it comes to a disappearance case or a case of suspected foul play, you cannot release everything. Because when you have somebody and you get an admission or you have a prime suspect, what you haven't released makes the biggest difference. So I kill somebody and I left my McDonald's wrapper on the nightstand of their thing. Well, they have me in there. I'm admitting to it. Okay, well, tell us something we don't know about the case. Well, how about the fact that's the McDonald's wrapper right there? Well, how the fuck did he know that? We didn't release it. It helps seal in the fact that you know who the hell did what, because they have information that the public doesn't. Now, you talk about the back to the elevator footage and it being edited. I have to believe that was tampered with. It looks like it was tampered with. You watch it and you're like, there's no way this is straightforward footage. It's not. And then you have the LAPD in that documentary that said what they fast forwarded to 3 times the speed or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you say that if it was manipulated and edited, who do you think did it? You think it was a staff member at the hotel? Do you think the hotel is run by some sort of mob, some sort of sex trafficking, phenom? Like who do you think did it?
So I would be, first off, half impressed if half of the security system in the Cecil Hotel worked. With a law enforcement background, I would be more than impressed if they actually had half of their security system up and running. Now, with that being said, LAPD is notorious for fumbling major investigations, especially when the public starts to apply pressure to the investigation. And Elisa Lam became viral, like you said. I mean, you have people on the internet that are trying to crack the case and solve the case. And goddamn you people for fucking thinking you're the shit. Like, let people have, fuck. Anyway, so oh my God, the whole internet sleuth. Oh my God, there was the documentary showed some dude in some metal dude that was like, oh, he sang a song that remotely sounded like something that might have been said about her. And now we think he killed her.
And he was there a year before she was there. It's like, come on, man. Stop. Come on.
If you're going to be an internet detective,
you ruined that guy's life.
Armchair quarterback, be good at it. You fucking idiot.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
So for me, like I said, I'd be impressed that the Cecil had a halfway working security system. On top of that, LAPD is notorious for mishandling major investigations when they're applied pressure by the public, like I said. I think that LAPD edited the video not trying to be heinous. I don't think they were trying to hide anything. I think they were trying to condense the video and get it out there and all that shit. And I think in doing that, they fucked up. Because one, I don't think they realized that the video footage was going to go viral. But secondly,
no way they did.
Like I said, I don't think that I just don't think that they handled the information and all of the evidence the right way.
Yeah.
But who am I? I'm some bald guy. I'm some bald guy on YouTube or iHeartRadio or Spotify or wherever the fuck you listen. So.
Okay. Well, give yourself more credit than that, but this isn't about you. This is about Elisa Lam. By the way, I'm going to pause real quick. About halfway done with my drink. We forgot to tell you, it's an ounce of vodka, an ounce of rum, but I did a shot each, which is both a little over an ounce. So basically I have a double shot in there and I'm halfway done. And yeah, I'm feeling good. Body's warmed up. That's for sure. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm determined to get through this one without going on a major tirade that we have to edit out. So I'm determined on this one to not do it.
Okay. Well, even if so, I'll just edit it out. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, she got up to the rooftop. Okay, let's talk about that because that's a whole nother thing to this case. How the fuck did she do it? There's the fire escape where you open that window, you climb up some stairs, but then there's that ladder that you have to climb up. That's what, 15 stories in the air. And if this chick is on drugs, drunk, having a psychotic episode, whatever, all the theories are, and it's not like she's like an American Ninja Warrior. Like, she's a smaller girl. And if she's like that and you're that high up in the air, for me, it's hard to fathom that she climbed up there with no problem. I could be wrong. And then the fire escape is another thing. You just walk up some stairs and you open it. I'll be honest with you. Them saying that fire escape is locked, and if it's not, the alarm will go off. Knowing that their footage probably sucks, that it's a very old hotel, I guarantee you, I've been to buildings, hell, this building right here that I'm in right now, going up to the roof, the fire escape, there's no alarm or anything.
I guarantee you that the alarm
I think that's
works
how she got
now.
up there.
I guarantee you the alarm works now.
Yeah.
But you're right.
I guarantee it did.
I think at that point, it did.
There's no, in my opinion, there's no way she did the fire escape because A, the dogs didn't smell her scent. It ended. And B, it's just so much easier to walk up the stairs and open that freaking door. And if the alarm doesn't go off, you're literally up there with no problem. And that's how I think she did it. I don't think an alarm went off. But again, I think she did it to go up there and to look at the view and stuff. But my question is, what in her mind made her look at the water tank and climb up there and get in?
I think that she was killed the day the day of the footage from the elevator. And I think that when her case became nationwide news, whoever was trying to hide what happened had to dump her body.
So my debunk to that is there were no signs on her body of stress, there was no wounds on her. There was nothing. So
do you ever hear of an incident in the 1900s in Russia called the Dlf Pass Incident?
I actually have.
Okay. So when they found those hikers, they had no external wounds. One of them had their tongue ripped out. One of them had their eyes ripped out. They all had high levels of radiation. Some had internal breakages and bruising, but nothing skin level. When you're in the water, what does water do? Speeds up the entire process of deterioration of the body. So right. Could they really make an accurate statement saying that her body showed no signs of stress when she was already starting to bloat and decomp? You can't really make that. At least, again, I'm speaking for me. I would not assume that you'd be able to make that call accurately.
So what you just said is my exact opinion. I was just curious to know if you agreed with me. 100%. Everything that they said, oh, no to this, none of that. It's like that bitch was in the fucking water tank for days and days. And like you just explained, she was bloated. She wasn't, if they would have found her laying by it the next day, that's different. But you're in a water tank with water, 4x8, and she's in there for several days. And
long enough to decomp and get her body flowing through the water system and the treatment through the entire building.
Exactly. That doesn't take 12 hours, that takes days. And also they marked it accidental drowning, right? But they also said that there were no signs, there was no water in her lungs or anything. There was no signs of drowning either. So
how can you accidentally drown? How can you accidentally drown if there's no proof of drowning?
That's what I'm saying.
This is the part that kills me about the world and the world we live in. And kind of why I dig doing this podcast and why we still hunt, why we still do what we do, and why we ask questions. So much shit is being hidden and lied about. It's unreal. And Elisa Lam is a prime example of what happens when there's some nefarious shit going on and people decide to try to sweep the whole damn thing under the rug.
Yeah, especially when there's no evidence of anything and you can manipulate it so easily. It'll be a case that forever will be unexplained unless if it was a killer, comes out and says, okay, this is exactly what happened. And even then they could be lying. You know what I mean? So this is just, and that's why, it's 8 years later and you and I are doing a podcast about it. There's a documentary on Netflix about it. The video is still getting thousands of views a day. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of those cases.
All right. And Booz and Bros tradition is last call here at Booz and Bros. Last call here at Booz and Bros.
Last call.
Did I mention it's last call here at Booz and Bros? Hashtag last call. Anyway, in typical last call at Booz and Bros fashion, I have a question for you, young Matt Lytle. A question for you.
Okay. I'm nervous.
Why are you nervous?
Because, dude, it's been a while. We're talking about Elisa Lam. Like
I'm not going to say, hey,
tipsy.
would you hit it? Like, I'm not going to be that fucking guy today.
Okay. Well, I thought you were.
Would you have slept with Elisa Lam? Like, would you have?
No. That's weird. Technically, she was older, but it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I can see that.
Your question.
My question for you is that you is for the God, I can't even speak right. God damn it. Yeah. To bring this whole thing full circle.
I hate you.
You're in the shower, you're washing your balls, washing your butthole, water pressure's kind of fucked up. There's something doesn't feel right. You go downstairs and you hear you just bathed essentially in human remains. How do you feel?
Literally, I'll be honest with you. The first thing that comes to mind is, how much money am I going to get out of this? Like, I better be getting like free rooms, like free meals, like everything comped, and an extra gift card to like fucking like Beverly Hills hotels and shit. Like, that's honestly what goes through my mind. And I'm also very disgusted. What about you?
Weird boner. Like, there's gonna be a semi in there.
I knew this was gonna happen. I knew you were gonna bring up something with you being hard.
Well, I mean, I'd be wearing my nipple belt. You know what I mean? The mustache would be growing out in power stack. So like, there'll be some things at play. I cannot honestly answer that. Like, I've got answers for a lot of stupid fucking questions. You know that. Like, we sit down, we talk about how we're gonna answer certain questions and shit like that when it comes to like ghosts and whatever the fuck have you. Yep. In that scenario, I cannot logically wrap my head around that idea enough to be able to have a legitimate response to that. I think this would be me. What? What? Wait, what? What? No.
Hold on. Let me, before here, add this to your reaction. Imagine how it smelled. Like, imagine, like, how showers, like, you smell like soap and like all that. But imagine that mixed in with like intestines.
Like the shower. So like you're sitting there, right? You're like, what the fuck? I think like, it's in your pores.
Dude,
like,
I'm not done with my drink yet, man. This is disgusting now.
But like, you have it in your beard and like, it's just.
You wash your face with it. You like put it in your nose.
Dude, I would have to shave. I would have to shave off my hair. I would have to shave off.
I would shave my head. I would shave my whole body.
Don't you already do that?
I don't need to.
Anyway.
Why didn't we just chug our drinks after? Why did you have to ask that, man? That's so gross. Anyways,
because it's
okay.
Typical Booz and Broz tradition.
That's right. Everybody, welcome back. Thank you for watching Elisa Lam and what our thoughts were. Leave comments on what you guys think happened to her. I'm very interested in what the 6 people who watch this. I'm slurring. 6 people who watch this think. And comment on Califf's new glasses. They're great. Oakley sponsors and Tito's. I had Tito's. Dude, yeah. Tito's, honestly, we're getting a sponsor as soon as we can.
Yeah.
But all right, everyone.
Said, the 6 of you, make sure you comment, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, or whatever the fuck the YouTubers say.
And share.
Share. Thank you for coming back for another exciting episode of Booz and Bros.
We will see you next week. We are going back to lore. Deuces.
It's time.